collaboration. India cannot do collaboration by itself.
Fundamental mindset of desire for excellence in India is so off.
Humanity sort of aims at.
And I think there's a very simple way for the government to change.
This brings me to my sort of last topic, which is collaboration or the lack of it in India, and how the picture is different in the US, or for that matter any European country, any other European country. Scientists have been complaining about this, not just scientists, researchers in even the social sciences, who are now often collaborating with biologists or statisticians or mathematicians, that there's a lack of free flow of people interacting with each other. There's a lack of collaboration. If you have to go through a lot of red tape sometimes. What do you feel is the one major thing or a few major things that are causing this problem of a free flow of collaboration? Dr. Ghosh, let's talk about the Indian perspective first, and then we'll also bring in the US perspective.
When it comes to developing something that humanity sort of aims at, which requires a large number of people coming together from different backgrounds, whether it's technological background and scientific background, or within science, whether the chemist and biologists coming together, it has not developed in India the way it should have been. This is a problem that is being addressed. There are several new schemes from both Department of Science and Technology, as well as the new initiatives have come up, which will deliberately and very explicitly want multi-institutional collaborative research projects, where one would like to have different expertise to come together. One of the good example is the recent announcement of the National Mission on Quantum Technology and Applications, which was announced earlier this year by our Honorable Finance Minister, that nearly $1 billion has been allocated for quantum technologies. And in these technologies, there is a clear opportunity for India to actually graduate itself from individualistic research to collaborative and collective research, in which different components of the technology will come from different parts of the country, and leading to a really path-breaking technology for all of us. On this, I would not talk about India alone, because I do not think it is right when it comes to collaboration. India cannot do collaboration by itself, because one of the big problems of India is the limited, or the really limited workforce when it comes to science and technology. Hence, if India has to go further, it has to be through global collaboration. So I think the culture has to change internally, and engagements have to be done with outside world immediately and in a very large scale.
Professor Kulkarni, what did US do right, and where did we go wrong?
The academic culture in India aims at both individual excellence, of course, but also almost by design. In fact, by design, an institute will not, in fact, will have scientists in, so you choose something like physics or astronomy, then they'll spread it out. So there'll be one doing comets, one doing galaxies, and one doing interstellar medium, something like that. There's in fact designed to have zero overlap. And that's very cultural. The idea here would be that if you're going to work in the same field, then it'll become competitive, and then who's better of the two? I don't know, something along those lines. But let me tell you, in the US and in generally in the countries which, the Western countries are, there's a big difference actually in my mind between the ones which are extremely leading and the ones which are pretty good, okay, but they're not necessarily leading. The leading countries have a very simple criteria. Someone will say, okay, what is Caltech astronomy good at? Step one. So all departments of astronomy in the US aim to do something extremely well. If they do one thing well, they want to do two things well. If they do two things well, they want to do three things well, okay? So there's a institutional desire for excellence in the activities they do, in the units they have. So they want to have their business school as number one. They want to have their medicine. They want to have physics and so on. To my knowledge, there is no such requirement at all in India. In fact, it'll fail completely because even the best institution in India will in fact spread the faculty hire across all of physics, across all of astronomy. And there's no way, if you did that, you'd actually be good at anything. By sheer luck, you may find a Ramanujam now and then, but that is so rare, you should not call it as a plan. Okay, and then by sheer luck, you may have someone like Govind Swarup, who single-handedly, in some sense, did things that would be almost heroic. It's what I call the hero mode. So anything done which is highly excellent in India is what I call as a hero mode, and that's not a plan. Okay, a plan has to work under routine circumstances with routine people, which means the average professors at these institutes. Okay. And this is a fatal flaw, absolutely so fatal that unless there's a fundamental change in the way the institutes see the value of excellence and saying, we really want to be ranked thus as number one. That's our goal. It may take you a while, but that's our goal. And in India, there is no criteria at all. As far as I can tell you, the criteria is the opposite. What is the appointments we do to have the least amount of conflict, of overlaps? That's, I would say, it's so fundamental that the rest solutions we can discuss, but this has to be changed. And I think there's a very simple way for the government to change. You should say, we're going to rank all the physics departments, all the astronomy departments by some committee, whatever, some metrics. I don't care. It has to be reasonable. Papers publish, impact, this, that, whatever, fairly routine things. And when you apply for a grant, if you are from a top 3 in that, we'll double your grant. Otherwise, you'll get the basic grant, whatever you applied. So there's a bonus from being from a place of excellence. Okay. I know it flies in the face of all sorts of social justice you may be thinking of, but I hate to tell you this, it's very simple. Research is not, it's not the average game. Research is extremely a game of absolutely singular achievements. It's very hard for me to imagine one Einstein and 1,000 scientists. Okay, it really is hard. Maybe that's the right number, I don't know. Okay, in the same way, excellent research, there's no comparison to the next step. And that's why you want to aim at excellence. I hate to say it, I really think the solutions for how to increase are pretty straightforward, but the fundamental mindset of desire for excellence in India is so off, meaning we don't have that as a criteria at all. In the way we formulate the institutions, in the way we reward institutions. I don't mean rewarding, okay, we recognize Professor Ghosh for his excellence in his research. Okay, but that's not what I was talking of. We want to recognize IISc as the #1 place in condensed matter. Okay, but that requires IISc and other such institutes say, we want to be #1 first in this, then in this and this and this.
Just adding on to what Professor Kulkarni said, we have a lot of rankings, but what we don't have is what he's talking about, to incentivize on the basis of that ranking. We have NIRF, we have 1,000 more ranking systems that are there. Every year there's one coming up. But do you think incentivizing it will help in a setup in India on a department basis, or taking it even on university or institute basis, that these are the 5 best universities. If you're from here and your idea is nice, we'll fund you more. Will that help to boost even for the first few years, and then we can come up with maybe a more like he said, which has more social justice to it. But initially, for the initial years, can we try something like this? Is it possible?
You see, there are now large number of institutions in India, including IITs, ICERs, NICERs, where the quality of the people have gone up tremendously over the last 10 years, including all form of science. I mean, condensed matter physics, astronomy, everywhere. So probably the total number of people is the same. However, people would like to be at places where they feel more comfortable, whether for whatever personal reasons or professional reasons or whatever it is. So I think getting them physically close together and then saying that, okay, fine, you develop this excellent center in which you will be known. I find logistics problem in that. However, that said, it is possible because of the internet, because of our mobility over the last few years or so, it is still possible to create high quality centers, high quality collection of people who are distributed over maybe different parts of the country, and then give them the adequate funding, incentivize their their research, and say that, okay, fine, you can do research and come up with really a game-changing output. I think that's the way research in India is going to happen in the next decade or so, because looking at the way the institutions are coming up, looking at the way the new funding schemes are coming up, I think it will be a geographically distributed human resource which will be engaged in high quality research and globally competitive research.
Thank you, professors, for joining us today. It was a great conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Bye.